Alrighty, boys, the downfall of Arthas Menethil by Platinum WoW. Here we go.
Arthas Menethil is by far the most famous character in Warcraft history. His cinematic is one of the most iconic pieces of Warcraft media. His expansion was the peak of WoW's popularity, and there's an endless amount of Lich King related merchandise. His popularity can be attributed to him being a core part of Warcraft's story since Warcraft 3, and the progression of his character is filled with twists and turns that the average WoW player probably doesn't know about. Arthas was born 4 years before the orcs
I think I know most of it, dude. I loved Warcraft 3 and the story of Arthas. I did hate him when he turned evil, though. I hated it when he was killing all the good people.
Azeroth. His father was Lord Tyrannus Menethil, making him the prince. And since he was the prince, he got to hang out with a surprising amount of familiar faces. He learned the ways of battle from Myrd Bronzebeard.
Damn.
He sparred with Varian Wrynn, future king of Stormwind, and learned the ways of the light from his mentor Uther, and had a serious crush on Jaina Proudmoore. One of the most impactful experiences in Arthas' young life was training his horse, Invincible.
Bro, why is he making it look... Never mind.
Arthas would grow up alongside his steed, until one fateful evening when Arthas was just far too reckless when venturing with his steed. Arthas ventured into the raging snowstorm that blanketed his kingdom, ignorant to the fact of how dangerous this could actually be.
Dude, this is a road up to SM, I think. But with snow covered, it looks so different. It looks cool.
Hurry! You must jump over this bank, Invincible!
Invincible's front legs were shattered, leaving the two stranded in the snowstorm. Arthas' own recklessness had led to his closest companion mortally wounded. The young prince revealed a blade, driving it into his steed's heart to give him a peaceful death. Arthas never told anyone what happened on that fateful night, but it would mold him into the man he would become. He made a vow to himself to protect others, no matter the cost.
I once had a horse named Invincible. Turns out he wasn't.
At age 19, Arthas joined the
Dude, Platinum WoW is making Arthas look like a loser.
Knights of the Silver Hand, an elite group of paladins. He then lived in Dalaran for a while, flirting with Jaina, which made Kel'Thas Sunstrider mad, and this whole section of lore is on some Twilight love triangle bullshit. He then went to Zul'Aman to help kill some forest trolls, which is only briefly stated in the Warcraft 3 manual, because every story in Warcraft needs to have at least one instance of trolls losing. We then transition to the lore that
Dude, trolls get bullied every time.
is depicted in Warcraft 3, where Arthas kills some orcs, which is just the tutorial, and then the real threat emerges. The Plague of Undeath, an infectious disease spread by the necromantic worshipping cult of the Damned, has wreaked havoc across Arthas' kingdom. There is a report that the town of Brill was stricken with the plague, so Arthas and Jaina investigated the disturbance.
The cult of the damned has already ravaged your lands, Prince. This is only the beginning.
Kil'Thuzad, master necromancer and leader of the cult of the Damned, fled to Anderhall, so Arthas and Jaina pursued him, but
I hate this Arthas mod, it's so ugly.
alas, they were too late.
You're too late, foolish prince. Grain infected by the plague of undeath has already been shipped across your kingdom. It is only a matter of time before your citizens are transformed into mindless undead.
My master, Mal'Ganis, has already infiltrated the city of Stratholme. The Scourge shall bring your
I
kingdom
hate
to...
the Dreadlords.
Arthas and Jaina quickly ventured to Stratholme in a desperate attempt to warn the citizens about the infected grain. Along the way, Arthas' mentor Uther joined them, and when they arrived, they discovered that they were already too late. The citizens were infected. What happens next is one of the most defining events in Arthas' downfall, which is depicted in an infamous cutscene, where he declares the entire city must be purged for the greater good. including the civilians. Now, I've talked about the culling of Stratholme cutscene before, like 4 years ago, when I hired a bunch of actors on Fiverr to recreate the cutscene. So, I'm just gonna do it again.
How's it going there? Real life Peter Griffin here.
Chocolate rain.
Hello, Uther. I'm Mr. Beast. First of all,
What is this? That ain't Mr. Beast.
you are wrong! The city needs to be purged.
Listen here, you bastard. You better stop disobeying the Order of the Knights of the Silver Hand, or Tyrion Fordrain's gonna have to come out of retirement and kick your ass all the way back to Lordaeron.
Okay? And if you disagree, get out of our list. Arthas.
I mean, you're breaking Lady Jaina Proudmoore's heart, and that's what grinds my gears.
Arthas. I can't watch you do this.
But your mama.
Shut up, Arthas.
You are a paladin, Prince of Lordaeron, and you are reckless!
But your mama.
What was the right thing to do, chat? Just let him turn into zombie and then kill them afterwards? Or kill them before when they're easier to kill? It's kind of fucked up, I know. I think Arthas made the hard choice, man. What was the right thing, chat? Mm-hmm. It was debatable, yeah. Quarantine the city, stay who you can. Burn before it spread. What was the other choice? So, number one choice is... Sorry, I'm eating and I have food in my mouth. Number one choice is kill them before they spread. And they're weak, they're like just humans, that you can just kill them fast. Or number two, wait for them to turn into zombie and then fight them off, I guess. And then try to save the people that are living or didn't eat that grain. You have to cleanse the land anyways, though, right? It's a hard choice. Alright, let's continue. Oh!
Arthas rampaged through the city, killing zombies and innocent civilians alike, ensuring the plague could not spread further. The morality of Arthas' actions on this fateful day are still debated to this day. Actions which were motivated by the oath he made after the death of Invincible. And because he was also just an arrogant, young, strong-headed...
No, these guys are all poisoned though. I remember doing this quest. They're green. And if you don't kill them, they turn into ghouls. And the ghouls are way stronger.
dude. In the courtyard of the city, Arthas finally met face-to-face with Mal'Ganis, the Nathrezim responsible for this atrocity.
I have been waiting for you, young prince.
Mal'Ganis, you will pay for what you did to my people.
Mal'Ganis then told Arthas to follow him to Northrend if he wished to get his revenge.
I will follow you to the ends of the earth if I have to! Do you hear me? To the ends of the earth!
In order to ensure that the plague could not continue to spread,
Dude, you are sabotaging Arthas in this video.
Arthas set fire to the city of Stratholme, and these cursed fires still burn to this day, billowing with tortured souls massacred during the culling of Stratholme. The Prince of Lordaeron then went rogue, taking a detachment of soldiers and traveling to the frozen wasteland of Northrend. Wait, hold on. Is that the French Richelieu-class battleship, the Jean Bart, installed with 6 Indrit solar boilers, 4 Parson-geared turbines, 17 artillery guns, used by the French during World War II after the battle for France? The sponsor of today's video is World of Warships, a free-to-play game for PC where you battle against other ships.
That's a
in
great
epic
transition.
12v12 arenas.
That was a really good
New
transition.
content is released every month for this game, like ships, cosmetics, and fresh gameplay experiences. There are 40 unique maps, all with dynamic weather and stunning water effects that you can sail across with a wide variety of battleships.
Damn, the reference
like
is
destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and aircraft carriers. You can join the awesome in-game player base who are just as passionate about warships as you are. And oh yeah, did I mention the game is also available on content about warships?
I don't know if I want to play with them.
As you are. And oh yeah, did I mention the game is also available on consoles? Download the game for free, and this month only, you can go to battle as anime girl-themed boats from Azure Lane and show off your favorite characters from the new Azure Lane themed skins. During registration, use promo code AZURE555 to receive a huge starter pack, including all of these items and currency. Again, use code AZURE555. Thank you to World of Warships for sponsoring this video. Back to the story. Arthas was now in Northrend to hunt down the Dreadlord. This was obviously blatantly reckless. The more logical thing to do would be to help rebuild his kingdom after it was rocked by the plague, but Arthas was just blind with vengeance. When the prince and his men reached Northrend, they bumped into his old friend, Myrddin Bronzebeard, and his group of dwarven adventurers. They were looking for a fabled blade called Frostmourne, told to grant untold power. Together, Arthas and Myrddin explored Northrend,
Wait, this is Myrddin's fault then, man.
killing undead and searching for the blade and Mal'Ganis. Soon after, an emissary from Lordaeron showed up, conveying a demand from Uther and Tyrannus Menethil that Arthas and his men should return to Lordaeron at once.
And I don't care what Mal'Ganis did. What you did to the people in Stratholme is unacceptable.
Now, the soldiers the prince brought were totally on board. Truthfully, they were just here following orders, and they didn't hold the same vengeance in their hearts like Arthas. They had families they wanted to return to and didn't want to just hang out in the snow all day. Oh yeah, also the entire continent is covered in zombies. But before they could board their ships to return home, Arthas hired a bunch of mercenaries.
This was fucked up, by the way. These mercenaries were so cool helping us. And then Arthas makes him do something bad and we kill them.
Had them burn down their only way back home, and then he killed all the mercenaries in order to cover up his atrocity, leaving his men now stranded in Northrend, and Arthas intended on keeping it that way until Mal'Ganis was defeated.
Okay, I think I got it. So I think if I follow this quest tracker, we should be able to find Frostmourne, and maybe even that damn Dreadlord Mal'Ganis.
Damn straight.
Then Arthas and Myrddin continued their hunt, and in their ventures, they stumbled upon the Blade of Legend. Upon closer inspection, Myrddin read the runes of the blade, which explained that the weapon was cursed. He begged Arthas not to claim the blade. Myrddin had seen his renegade behavior and knew he'd succumb to such a cursed weapon. But Arthas craved power. He would sacrifice anything to help avenge his people, even if it meant wielding such a wicked blade
Dude, he looks
like
so...
Frostmourne.
This is mine now. Yoink!
Lend me your aid!
Myrddin, are you alright?
Myrddin was stabbed with a shard of ice as the cursed blade freed itself from its imprisonment. Arthas rushed to help, but the wicked blade called for his name. The moment Arthas touched the blade, he became the first Death Knight of the Lich King. At this time, the leader of the Scourge was an amalgamation of enchanted armor atop the frozen throne, imbued with the spirit of the Orcish warlock Ner'zhul. This was a pivotal moment in Arthas' descent into villainy. and over time, he would not be the virtuous, fiery-hearted prince of Lordaeron his kingdom had known. He would fall into an evil, resentful Death Knight of the Lich King, whose goal would be to spread his master's plight. Muradin was left for dead in the Frostmourne Cave, a location that players can visit in Dragonblight and discover the discarded weapons of Arthas and the dwarf. But, oh yeah, also, Muradin isn't actually dead. Somehow, he survived. You can find him over in the Storm Peaks. Okay, moving on.
How
now,
did he
before
survive?
anything, Arthas needed to fulfill his purpose for coming to Northrend
I hated Arthas from now here.
in the first place.
The Dark Lord told me you would come. Your deeds at Strathholm were inspiring.
Mal'Ganis.
So, you've taken up Frostmourne at the cost of your soul. Just as the Dark Lord said you would.
Save your breath, Mal'Ganis. I heed only Frostmourne now. Nothing will prevent me from having my revenge, demon.
You hear the voice of the Lich King. His power flows through that blade and you.
I can feel him whisper to me now. Frostmourne. It hungers for blood.
What does the Dark Lord say?
He tells me the time for my vengeance has come.
What? He can't possibly mean to.
It is finished.
Shortly after slaying the Dreadlord, Arthas outfitted himself with a suit of Serenite armor, and from the thick blizzard of the frozen waste, the corrupted Prince of Lordaeron slayed his own men so that they could serve him in death once again. Two of his most fearsome soldiers, Falric and Marwyn, were raised into undeath, and later on the player would fight them in the Halls of Reflection dungeon.
I never knew that part.
Months later, Arthas would
Wait,
return
so are these
to
guys
Lordaeron.
DKs
The
too?
city celebrated,
The little two guys following him?
welcoming back their beloved prince with joyous merriment, totally ignoring the fact that he and his soldiers were walking around in
Yeah,
emo
was the
death
Arthas book written after Frozen Throne stuff or before Warcraft Frozen Throne?
armor covered in skulls. Arthas drew his blade and delivered his betrayal.
Because I don't remember these details playing Warcraft 3. I think it was after, right? It has to be after. Wow.
This kingdom shall fall.
Way after. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember these
Shall
details.
arise a new order that will shake the very foundations of the world.
The paranormal remnants of the death of King Tyrannus Menethil can still be heard when players venture to the former throne room of Lordaeron. If you turn up your ambient volume, you can hear the reverberating traces of this wicked event. Soon after his father's death, Arthas set in motion an entire Scourge invasion across his kingdom. Doing so was trivial. The kingdom was still reeling from the former Scourge invasion. This was just their death knell. And while the massacre commenced, Arthas ventured to the grave of his former steed and used his newly acquired necromantic magic to bring Invincible to life once again. As the slaughter continued across
That's
the
one of the
kingdom,
coolest mounts.
the commanding boom of the Lich King thrummed through Arthas' mind. His master demanded him to recover the corpse of the fallen necromancer, Kel'Thuzad. He was to be resurrected, as his knowledge of the dark art would be critical in the Lich King's efforts. At the entrance of the crypt which stored the necromancer's body, Gavinrad the Dire, the paladin who granted Arthas his hammer when he joined the Knights of the Silver Hand, stood at the entrance.
Stop this madness!
Arthas collected the remains of the necromancer and was informed that in order to resurrect a powerful being such as him,
I don't
it
remember
required a
that.
powerful font of power. like the Sunwell located in Quel'Thalas. But in order to transport the remains, he would need a special urn. Specifically the urn that held his father's ashes. I feel like you could just use a cardboard box for that, but
That's
the problem
fucked up.
was the man who held that special urn was Uther, the Lightbringer, Arthas's former teacher.
Arthas, what have
the
you
fuck? This
done?
guy's fucked up,
Finding
man.
the lives of the innocent? Reanimating monstrosities. Evil has truly consumed you. I will not let you defile these lands.
You will know endless torment.
Spare me your meaningless threats. This dark magic will lead the world to
Uther should let me play on his account. I'll kick his ass, dude. 1v1?
ruin, Arthas. Your father ruled this land for decades, and you've ground it to dust in a matter of days.
Very dramatic, Uther. I'll make sure you die quickly. Frostmourne hungers.
I dearly hope there's a special place in hell waiting for you, Arthas.
We may never know. I intend to live forever.
Damn.
Strange. I thought I would feel something at a moment like this. Maybe I am. Perhaps depressed.
Shortly after obtaining the urn, Arthas dashed his father's remains into the air, which then swarmed around him and started choking him and stinging his eyes. Yeah, somehow this detail gets left out during this badass chapter of the story. Now Arthas
What? That is not true, man. I don't remember any of these.
continued his mission and ventured with his Scourge army to Quel'Thalas to wreak the same havoc to the Elven Kingdom as he did his own.
I feel like the story writer made a mistake, though. He raised Invincible because he loved him, but he doesn't have that for like his parents or Uther or anyone else. Does that make sense? Like he would raise up his dead horse, but not raise like Uther or his dad up. Kind of weird, no? Holy shit, this is kind of badass.
Arthas and his Scourge ravaged the lands with untold brutality, and were met by a counterattack from Ranger General Sylvanas Windrunner. But her final stand would be futile against the might of the Scourge.
Warriors of Silvermoon, defend the city! Show them the true strength of Quel'Thalas!
Unholy death has come.
Dude, Sylvanas was so annoying when you play the campaign and you're Arthas. She keeps like poking you and running away every time. You need to read the book to understand? Got it. It's still weird, even though he had a deep connection with his horse. Okay, I guess Arthas and Uther had beef, so it makes sense Uther, he kills him with nothing. But his dad, killing his dad, isn't that kind of deep?
To your land, Ranger.
Silence, Prince. Quel'Thalas will
Oh, did he
never
hate his
fall to
dad?
your corruption.
This Ranger is beginning to vex me
Does he, though?
greatly.
Because at
Finish
the
it.
end,
I
his dad
deserve
comes out too.
a clean death.
After all you've put me through, the last thing I'll give you is the peace of death.
No, you wouldn't dare.
Arthas made the greatest monster right here.
Arthas transformed the Ranger General into a Banshee, and by his command, she was forced to slay her own people. By the end of the conflict, 90% of the elven population was slaughtered. Their king was murdered, and the necromancer Kel'Thuzad was transformed into a lich.
You called?
Now Arthas and Kel'Thuzad were best bros, both working towards the same goals. Kel'Thuzad explained that the Scourge was actually a creation of the demonic legion. The purpose of the Lich King was to hinder the defenses of the planet so that the Legion could come in and deliver the final killing blow to all the mortals on Azeroth. That's all the Scourge was, a tool for a higher power. But in time, this would change. The Lich King made sure of it. But for now, Arthas and Kel'Thuzad assisted their demonic rulers. The duo helped in summoning Archimonde onto Azeroth, who then destroyed the city of Dalaran. During the Third War, the Legion invaded Kalimdor. Arthas would command the Scourge.
I know this was a trailer.
City of Dalaran. During the
Imagine this graphic is wild too, chat.
Third War, the
Holy
Legion invaded
moly.
Kalimdor.
Wild too
Arthas
graphic.
would command the Scourge to secretly disobey their demonic rulers. And he also discovered the Night Elf, Illidan Stormrage. He manipulated the renegade elf, teaching him how to use the powers of the Skull of Gul'dan, which empowered him so that he could destroy the Fell Lord Tichondrius, a decision which would ultimately have detrimental consequences in the future. Arthas' attempt to undermine the Legion's efforts would prove successful, and they lost the Third War. At this point, the Scourge fully broke away from the Legion, weakening the power of the Lich King and attracting the ire of their demonic masters in the process. When Arthas returned to Lordaeron, the Dreadlords Rogue Undead and Sylvanas, who now had free will because of the Lich King's weakening powers, were waiting for him. Arthas was forced to flee, as once again the Lich King's voice dominated his mind. He warned him that demonic servants were heading straight towards the Frozen Throne to destroy him. It was Illidan and his forces. The Demon Hunter was under the command of the Legion's demonic overlord, who demanded they destroy the rogue Lich King. Arthas hurried to Northrend once again. There he found Anubarak and his Nerubians. He fought Illidan's minions, like the Elves of Kothalas and the Naga,
That was my favorite.
both of which were no match for the might of the Scourge, even in their weakened state. Arthas was just minutes away from the Frozen Throne until he ran into the
Underbark
Demon
was so
Hunter,
cool.
Illidan, and the two dueled each other in one of the most iconic moments in Warcraft history.
Bro, it wasn't even iconic. It sucked. What the fuck is this?
Here we go. Arthas going in with the grapple. Oh my god. He's just jumped right into it. No, don't do it, Arthas. Oh my god. Illidan coming in with the vengeful retreat. Oh, here it comes. Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Honestly,
4,
this is better.
5,
This is better
6.
than Warcraft
No,
3.
Arthas, don't do it. Don't do it. The Scourge drop. No, don't do it. Here it comes. Oh my god. Oh, whoa. What the hell? I don't even know who got hurt there. That was incredible. Here it comes. Here comes the Abomination Throwdown. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Please. Illidan has a family. Oh, God. Here it is. 1, 2, 3. Arthas, the winner. The Scourge prevails. Everyone, welcome your new Lich King.
Dude, at this moment, Arthas was like the strongest character in Warcraft 3. That was a better
Arthas
fight
won
than the
the battle,
Warcraft 3.
winning the championship belt and being the strongest edgelord in all of Warcraft. And he marched up to the Frozen Throne, shattered the ice, entombing his master, and donned his iconic armor.
Now, we are one.
Yes.
Flash forward the Wrath of the Lich King, and Arthas is the Lich King.
Wrath of the Lich King made Arthas a puso, man. I hated seeing Arthas. Every time he comes out, he just raises his sword, his iconic move. It was so repetitive. He just touches his glove all the time. And me and my brother always made fun of that, dude. And he always runs. They made him so puso.
Being the big bad guy and doing big bad stuff, like making more Death Knights and having a Scourge invade all of Azeroth. Not much rich story to delve into here without being excruciatingly thorough. Flash forward to the end of the expansion, and as we all know, the Lich King would ultimately be defeated by the player characters atop the Icecrown Citadel. And the legacy of Arthas Menethil, Warcraft's most iconic character, would be put to an end. And then Bolvar puts on the helmet because apparently there must always be a Lich King in order to keep the Scourge under control. Yeah, that lore kind of just comes in at the last minute. And that's the end of the video. Okay. You can leave now. Bye.
What is going on?
If you want to walk away from this video understanding an iconic Warcraft story that ends in a reasonable and relatively satisfying manner, click off this video now. But if you want to understand how the Shadowlands expansion recontextualized and continued Arthas' story into something almost unanimously hated by the community, prepare yourself. Okay, so there's this being older than reality itself. His name is Zoval, also known as the Jailer, and he was created from these beings called the Eternal Ones. You know the Titans, right? Okay, so the Eternal Ones are like the Titans, but they shaped all the realms of reality and are bigger and better in every single way. Okay, back to the Jailer.
Damn, I kind of want to know about them now.
He thought the universe was flawed because everyone's lives were decided by fate, not free will, so he wanted to remake reality. The first ones didn't like that, so they sent him to the Maw, which is Warcraft's hell. And from hell, he realized in order to remake reality, he would need the world soul of Azeroth. In order to claim his prize, he created Frostmourne and the Helm of Domination. Okay, you know the Dreadlords, right? Well, they actually worked for him. They were double agents that worked with the Legion, but it was just a
Double agents? Honestly, I kind of like the first step of the story, not this part though.
means to an end to progress their master's plan. The Dreadlords made Icecrown Citadel, which had a secret purpose of channeling Azeroth's life force. The Dreadlords also influenced countless other events in the Warcraft universe, pulling the threads of fate and manipulating many events for a villain that was just introduced to the story and is incredibly vague and boring. Okay, fast forward and Arthas is now the Lich
Dude, that's kind of cool. So he planned all this? Chat is crazy.
King. Now, it's stated that some of Arthas' actions were influenced by the Jailer, but for the most part, his will was his own. He ultimately doesn't do what the Jailer wants and dies at the end of the Icecrown Citadel raid. Okay, you know Uther? Well, after he died,
The Uther got dirty, man.
he turned into an angel that is tasked with judging all souls who die and deciding which afterlife they are.
This cinematic was so beautiful, dude. I loved this. And I was so hyped to see Uther be a badass, but he's just a blueberry walking around, does nothing the entire expansion.
Sent to. Uther goes against the angel rules, and when Arthas dies, Uther throws him into the Maw. Flash forward to Shadowlands, and King Anduin Wrynn of Stormwind gets captured. The Jailer takes his father's weapon called Charlemagne and uses a crystal containing Arthas' soul to make Kingsmourn, which is like Frostmourne, but stronger. Kingsmourn is then used to dominate Anduin, and he becomes a servant of the Jailer. The Jailer's master plan has almost come to fruition as he collects the 4 sigils from each realm of the Shadowlands, aka the Infinity Stones, and opens up a portal to the Sepulchre of the First Ones to remake all of reality. In order to stop him, we transform the shards of the Helm of Domination into a new helm called the Crown of Wills, which looks like... What the hell? We venture into the Sepulchre of the First One's raid, and Anduin ultimately resists the domination magic when his 2 ghost dads nod at him in approval.
Why the fuck is he here? I actually don't know why he's here, dude. You know how in Naruto he missed his dad?
He resists the
I wanted
domination
Anduin
magic when his
to have his moment with his dad. And then this fucking
2
bozo
ghost
orc
dads
comes
nod
out.
at him in
It's so weird. I know they want to include Horde and the Alliance, but I don't think he should have been here.
approval, and he rips the sword apart. And the last remnants of Arthas' soul fades out of existence.
Be gone then, Arthas Menethil. May the last whisper of your name fade and be forgotten.
Man, they could have done such a cool story with the Arthas stuff. Wasted potential.
After Shadowlands, the conclusion of Warcraft's most recognizable villain did not end with a climactic finish, but with a whimper. leaving a scar not only on one of the most iconic characters, but the entire Warcraft universe in
Damn, this model they made looks good.
general. And the only way to cope with this is to plug your ears, go la la
Dude, doesn't this guy kind of look like...
on one of the most iconic characters, but the entire Warcraft universe in general. And the only way
This looks like the guy that follows Logan Paul. I don't know his name. I saw him in the Meat Crayon video. He looks
to
like
cope
that
with
guy,
this is to
right?
plug your ears, go la 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 la, and pretend all of that Shadowlands stuff just doesn't even exist in the first place.
That was a great video. Here you go, chat. Platinum WoW. Incredible video.